I'm Jan Tilley, and I'd like to invite you to have an appetite for life. I appreciate you joining me this afternoon in my kitchen. We're going to be doing a cooking school, and I'm going to do 2 different kinds of chicken for you this afternoon that ask you to flatten out or pound out the chicken breast. And what that does is it really allows for a much quicker cooking time. So many of us get home from work and we don't have time to prepare chicken because it needs to cook 30-40 minutes in the oven. But if you've pounded it, it cooks much quicker. So the first recipe I'm going to show you is a 30-minute chicken marsala. Start to finish, you can have it on the table in 30 minutes. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a chicken breast that you've thawed, and we're actually going to put it between a double fold piece of saran wrap. So we're putting it between a double fold of saran wrap, just so that when you start pounding it, it doesn't go everywhere. You're going to take the flat side of your meat mallet and just pound it to about a 1/4 inch thickness. That really allows for a lot of faster cooking time. So you've got it pounded, and this is what it's going to look like. So it's a nice thin piece of chicken breast. So you can discard your plastic wrap, and then what we want to do is I like to use wax paper. So we're going to take a piece of wax paper, we're going to put the chicken breast on here, and I'm just going to use a little bit of salt. Now we're going to do a little sprinkling of black pepper. And actually, I have a pepper blend of orange and lemon pepper that I love to use in this recipe. So just a little quick dash of that as well. So we've got it on this side. We're going to turn it over. I'm going to do a little more salt and pepper and lemon pepper on the other side. And we're going to put it in a skillet. Now what I've done for oil to actually pan saute the chicken is I like doing a little bit of butter with the olive oil because it really enhances the flavor. So you want to use more olive oil than butter, but the butter just gives a nice little pop of flavor. So I'm going to take this, put it in a skillet. We're going to brown the chicken breast about 3 minutes on each side, and then we're going to come back and do all of the ingredients that go on top of it. So now we're going to be at the stove. I'm going to get my pan hot, and what we're going to do is add the olive oil and the butter and let that get nice and hot before we add the chicken. So we're going to take the chicken and we're going to brown it on each side. It'll be about 3 minutes on each side. And then I'm going to pull the chicken out to a platter I have over here. Just hold it there, and we'll saute the mushrooms and the shallots and keep going. So this is a nice big skillet. What you don't want to do is crowd the chicken in there, so you want it to get nice and brown. You also will want to make sure that your chicken is nice and dry, because that's how you get a good sear on a piece of chicken. You don't want it moist. So if it is moist, pat it dry with a paper towel. So we're just going to melt the butter, get the olive oil going, and then you'll remember I've got 2 flattened chicken breasts that I've salted, peppered, and put a little bit of my favorite lemon orange pepper blend on there. Just make sure that the skillet is good and covered with our oil. Now I'm just going to take the chicken breast, and I have 2 here. So we're going to take this first one and we're going to lay it in just a nice layer right here. Then I'm going to take my second one and put it right next to it. The other thing I want you to notice is how big it is, because we eat with our eyes. Truly, this is about a 4 to 5 ounce piece of chicken, but it looks huge. It looks like something that could really fill you up, and that's a good thing. So we're going to take that, I'm going to lay it in a single layer right here, and we're just going to give it a few minutes to brown. So as it begins to brown, I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to turn it or flip it or mess with it because you want to give it a chance to really make contact with the pan and get nice and brown. We'll flip it and do the other side. All right, now what we're going to do, we've got it nice and brown on one side. We're going to flip the chicken. I'm going to let it cook a couple of minutes on this other side. You are going to add the chicken back into the skillet, so it's going to have time to finish cooking. You're really just looking for that brown right now. So we'll give it a second to cook. When I pull it out, I'm going to be adding in the mushrooms and then the shallots to brown those. And then we'll put the chicken back in. We're going to deglaze with some Marsala, which is where chicken Marsala gets its name. So you're going to love this. It makes the whole house smell amazing. I think this piece is ready, so I'm just going to lay it over here. This other piece is a little bigger, but I think we got it. Nice and brown on the other side. Now I'm going to turn my heat down just a little bit. I'm going to add in the mushrooms. So I've taken about 8 ounces of button mushrooms. You can use any kind of mushroom you want. We're going to put those in there. Let's try to get it to a single layer. And just let those work their magic for a second. Once they get kind of brown on one side, we're going to turn them, add the shallots, and then deglaze the pan with some Marsala. All right, so our mushrooms are beautiful brown. You can use any assortment of mushrooms. You can use whatever's on sale. Go to a farmer's market, find some really exotic ones, whatever you like. Now to these mushrooms, I'm going to add in some shallots. I've already thinly sliced these. You don't want to let them cook quite as long as you did the mushrooms, so we add them at the last minute. Let them cook a couple of minutes, and now remember we're going to deglaze the pan with the Marsala. So I've got it right here, and let's just start pouring it in. And you should start to smell that wonderful, wonderful. Marsala is just a dry wine, and it just has this wonderful aroma. I'm also going to add in a little bit of chicken broth, because you know as well as I do the best part of chicken Marsala is the sauce. So we want to make sure we have plenty. So I'm going to let that reduce down a little bit. And then at the end, we'll add capers. We'll add a little bit of parsley. We'll put our chicken back in there and let it cook. And we will have dinner ready on the table. All right, so we've let this reduce down for about 5 minutes. You want to have it about half of what it was when you added in the broth and the Marsala. So it's reduced down. Now what I'm going to do is add in the capers. So you have just a little bit of caper berries to add in. You can chop those up if you want to, or you can leave them whole. I've chosen to leave them whole today. And then we're going to put the chicken back in. So we're going to put it in this yummy sauce and let it sit there and cook for a couple of minutes. And I usually try to get it where it's all bathed in the sauce really well, because you want it to absorb all that flavor. This chicken is not quite cooked through, so you'll want to leave it probably another 5 to 10 minutes just to make sure it's done all the way through. So now that our chicken is finished cooking, what we're going to do is we're going to take and plate it up. So I'm going to take the chicken breasts and lay it on a platter. And of course, when you're making it, you may have 5 or 6 of these that you've cooked. We're going to put it on a platter, and then I'm going to turn my stove off, and let's just spoon the mushrooms on top. And then we'll add some sauce to finish it up. Truthfully, the easiest way to get all the goodness is just to pick the pan up and pour it on top of the mushrooms. Okay? So we're just going to take and pour. Now you can serve this on top of angel hair pasta. You can serve it on top of brown rice. get something to soak up all that the good juices, because that's where all the flavor is. To finish this off, I also want to sprinkle it with some parsley, and I'm going to show you a neat little trick that I learned from a chef friend of mine. What you do is you take it and you chop it really finely, and you put it in a damp paper towel, and then it's nice and easy to work with. So that's just a really cool trick. So take a look at our finished product. Delicious.